Our journey continues on the backcountry roads. Today we'll visit Washington in the eastern part of the state of Georgia. But first, we'll explore an important revolutionary historic site about 12 miles southwest of Washington in Wilkes County. This is the most important Revolutionary War battlefield in Georgia, known as the Cale Creek Battlefield. As you can see, it's a dirt road to get there, but the road is well maintained and safe for any vehicle. However, you do have to watch out for wildlife. So this is the most important Revolutionary War site in Georgia and South Carolina. This is where American Patriot troops attacked approximately 700 British troops and loyalists, and they defeated them. There were only 350 Americans, but they attacked them while British were camping here. This was a huge victory for American forces. American forces were commanded by Colonel Andrew Pickens and Colonel L.J. Clark and John Dooley. The American Revolution from 1775 to 83 began essentially as a conflict stemming from growing tensions about taxes between the colonists and the colonial government representing the British Crown. Colonel James Boyd and his 700 British loyalists recruited from the Carolinas were marching towards Augusta, Georgia, to join with other British forces. Unknown to them, they were continuously followed and watched. When British forces decided to rest and make a camp here, Colonel Pickens with his 300 American soldiers decided to attack. The British were able to repel the initial surprise attack, but Boyd was mortally wounded, which caused loyalists to panic and escape into the woods. The story is that Colonel Boyd gave Pickens a letter for his wife and was later buried by American soldiers somewhere in these woods. So this whole area is protected archaeological site. No digging is allowed. I'm going to try this trail, Old Liberty Church Loop Trail. There are 27 graves scattered around this battlefield, and access to these graves and other important battle locations is accessible via different trails maintained by the National Park Service. We don't know if it's of British loyalists or American patriots. So approximately 20 loyalists were killed, about 150 were taken prisoners, and about 250 escaped to Augusta. Places like this make you think about the men who participated in this war and realize how brave the American Revolutionary soldiers were. Imagine people in the late 18th century taking on the mightiest military empire at that time. There are 88 cities and towns in the U.S. named Washington, in honor of a victorious Revolutionary War general, founder, and first president of the United States, George Washington. But did you know that the very first place named in his honor is right here in Georgia? This area was acquired from the Creek natives and opened for settlement in 1773. The original name of the settlement was Hurd's Fort, established by colonist Stephen Hurd. In 1780, it was renamed Washington, and it served as a temporary capital of the new state of Georgia. Wilkes County was originally much larger. It was named in honor of John Wilkes, a member of the British Parliament who opposed harsh and unjust measures towards the American colonies, which finally led to the Revolution. Today, this is a small southern town in rural Georgia, but before the Civil War, it was a thriving community. 11 governors of Georgia were born in Wilkes County. The first cotton mill in Georgia was built here in 1811. The town has more antebellum homes per square mile than any other city in America. After the Civil War, the first free public library in Georgia was opened in 1889. On May 3, 1865, the Confederacy President Jefferson Davis came to this town with his entourage of 60 people and several wagons. The next day, he distributed the remaining gold among his soldiers and ministers and gave his last speech as a president. So, Washington Square, right here, is the location where the Confederate States of America officially ended. Only 6 days later, Davis was arrested about 200 miles south from here.
It has 1804 on the back.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So it was made in Vienna?
Yes.
Austria?
Uh-huh.
How did it get here?
Well, it was in an old building that my husband and I bought. So
Oh, okay.
I don't know how it got in. Probably somebody bought it, you know, as at an estate sale. And that was from France.
From France. My dear friend, are you surprised by everything we've seen and learned in this historic town? Stay tuned because the best part is coming tomorrow. But first, don't forget to have a meal in a local restaurant. There are a number of good places to choose from. I've decided to try out a newly opened place, Washington Tavern. The fried shrimp boy sandwich was a winner. You might come in as a stranger, but you leave happy knowing that you made new friends in this small town.
Came down from North Carolina in 1784, just after the Revolutionary War. In fact, Job and his son Jacob both fought for Georgia because they knew they were coming this way. The Indians had ceded the lands because of supposed debts to King George, so they knew before the war that this was opening up, and they could get a lot of bang for their buck by coming this way. This is the original milk paint, which is made with skim milk, vinegar, and hydrated lime, and it really does last over 200 years.
Wow.
It kind of soft. It soaks into the wood, and you can't chemically remove it. But you can imagine with the door closed and the shutter closed, it's dark in here in the winter, really dark. So that's why they did the whitewash, to brighten it up just a little bit through those long winters.
I wonder, the Callaway Plantation is any relation?
Oh, yes.
Of Callaway Gardens?
Yes, it is. We're the poor relatives. Yeah, they came from here though. Yeah.
They came from here?
One of the brothers that came down with Job was John, and he settled right down this road, and Callaway Road and Rail, which is in Wilkes County. And his grandson went to that side of the state, Reverend Abner Reeves Callaway, to preach. His son was Fuller Earl. His son was Fuller Earl Jr. His son was Fuller Earl III, also called Bo Callaway, and he ran for governor. He won the popular vote but lost the electoral vote. And you see the list, the pictures of all the Callaway Baptist preachers. They did not come down Baptists. They came down Methodists, and one of the brothers that stayed in North Carolina, that whole faction is still Methodist. But there was something called the Great Awakening in 1800. And a lot of people that were Presbyterian or Methodist, those were the two common ones in this area, turned Baptist at that time. They thought Georgia was going to be the silk capital of the world. They brought the silkworms. They brought the mulberry trees. The mulberry trees got blighted and died. The silkworms all died. They figured out cotton grew a whole lot better here. This is the crock pot of the past. It's called a hot rock cooker. I love this thing. They put a hot rock in the bottom, made of soapstone, and they put the raw food in the containers, aluminum containers, and another hot rock on top. Brought this down and latched it, let these fires go down, and still have a 6-course meal waiting for them hours later.
That's very innovative.
I thought so too. 1870, Toledo, Ohio. Got very common about 1880.
Okay. What kind of stone is that? Marble?
Soapstone. You can touch it and it's very soft. Feel it? It absorbs heat really well. So they put it right in the fire and then right on top.
Where did it come from? Is it local or?
Evidently, because I know that people in North Georgia have soapstone.
Okay.
So somewhere in Georgia there's a place to get soapstone.
Okay.
And we have waffle irons. Irons here for ironing clothes. We have 2-pounders, 6-pounders, 10-pounders, apple peeler, cherry pitter, the small butter churn. The ricer also made baby food. And this was one of the first canning jars called Lightning, because you could put the lid on and cinch it down lightning fast. According to Smithsonian, that's where the term white lightning comes from for alcohol, was the name of the jar, was Lightning.
Okay.
They had a blacksmith, and in fact we know the name of the blacksmith that worked here, Mr. Blackman, and his grandson just passed away. We have his picture, and the thing is, what we found is he would be here about once a month doing blacksmithing, but it makes such a distinctive smell that the people all around would know when he was here to bring their mules to be shod, or to bring their implement to be sharpened, or to be made.
Wow.
Yeah. That is a steam oven. So they could put the vegetables on the racks and put water in the copper pan, pick up the whole thing and put it on the wood stove to steam vegetables. So we think of steaming vegetables as being very modern today. Ha! They did it back then.
They did everything back then. It was more manual, more labor intensive, but
That's right, but the
they had
concept
everything.
was there, right, exactly right. The first people to live here were Martha and Aristides Callaway. They got married when she was 15 going on 16, and he was 34. They had 9 children, 8 of whom survived.
And who is that?
That is Katie May Harden, and she was the granddaughter of Aristides, the first person in this house, the first landowner. And she is the one that donated the property to the city of Washington.
Okay.
We can never sell it. We can give it back. They don't want it back. But we can never sell it, and we can never sell alcohol or have a seance.
Is this used for tea?
favorite pieces. This is a water cooler. Right, and it's silver. These go in the back here. So they would take them off when they were ready to use them. It's double walled to keep the water super, super cold. And they would tip to serve. The condensation comes down and pools here. And it looks like the bird is drinking from the pool of water. And the fish are beneath the surface of the pool.
Wow.
Isn't that special?
It is special.
And now it's American made.
Where was it made, do you know?
I don't know. I do know the difference between the English silversmiths put a lot of different kinds of stamps, which makes it a lot easier to trace.
Yeah.
And the Americans are much fewer on the stamps and harder to trace.
But it is a beautiful piece.
Yeah. This is the nursery. So they went from cradle with mom to sandwiched between brothers and sisters here. That window is different than every other window in the house because if someone wet the bed, they could clean off the mattress, open that window, and put the mattress out on the roof of the back porch to air out.
Okay.
This is William Howlett Irvin and his wife, Harriet Callaway. They called her Hattie Callaway. They married and had 11 children. I've had descendants come through who had her exact eyes, uncannily exact. Wow. Super, super light blue. That's Ethel and her dolly in the picture above the mantelpiece. And she was born in this house, raised in this house, had her wedding in this house, and her bed has come back to us.
So that's her bed.
Yep.
Looks like it's heavy.
It is. It's New Orleans canopy, starburst style. Supposedly you can undo the middle button and it becomes like mosquito nets.
Yes.
But I'm afraid I'll never get it back up again, so I have not messed with it.
Yeah. And these dresses are her dresses?
No,
or?
These are period correct. The blue dress is not period correct, but it gives people an idea of how big those hoop skirts can be. This is Martha and Aristotle's room.
Any ghost stories?
Lots of ghost stories. Lots of ghost stories.
Really?
Yes. And we have a ghost hunt annually here, which has always produced fascinating results.
I'd love to learn something about it.
I'll let you know if you really want to know, but I never bring it up unless somebody asks because a lot of people do not want to hear that.
Yeah, I would love to hear that.
Okay. First of all, Martha is known to go from the master bedroom to the nursery in a pink dress across here. She's been seen on the balcony, she's been seen in the windows. One of her children, Arthur, did not make it to 2. So he has been seen in the house. People were, one of the columns had to be replaced and they were doing the work on the front porch and they went to the director at the time and said, "Who's the little boy living in that house?" And she said, "There's no little boy living in that house." And they said, "He's been watching us. That little blonde-haired child has been watching us from the window." Several people have seen something like that go on. The ghost hunts, I have seen a lighted ball go skittering across the room with nobody around.
You've seen that?
I've seen it. I've seen a flash. In this room, we had a flashlight on the mantle. I was sitting below. Nobody else was around. Nobody was anywhere near it. It was definitely a manual flashlight. In fact, it had gone through 3 sets of batteries that night. So, and that's common, that that kind of activity drains batteries. So they were asking questions and it was going on and off in response to the questions. We would ask names, and when we got to the name that it clicked on, it was Aristides. And he, because I know so much about them, I would ask things that weren't true, the light would not respond. I would ask things that I knew were true, the light responded, and it was happening right above my head. There was nothing else around. I had one lady who brought water witching wands to the ghost hunt, and she was asking questions and it was responding to the point where the water witching wands were crossing and hitting me. And I kept wondering, okay, I want to be sure that my hands are not doing this, because I don't really want to hit myself. It was very interesting, the answers that I was given.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And you're not scared?
It's not a scary kind of interaction. These are not, I don't know why ghost hunters go to things like mental hospitals and prisons, because those people are scary. They were scary in life and they're scary in death. But I think the Callaways are kind of proud of showing off their home, that people are still coming to see them and ask them questions and talk with them. I have not felt scared. I can feel when someone moves through the chill and every hair on my body will stand up. And the other people around me, that happens to them too. Other guests have been known to be poked or pushed, not horribly, but something that they notice and bring up to me. I don't know if that's true.
That's fascinating.
It is fascinating, it really is, yeah.
So do you feel more activity at night or during the day? Or it's random?
I feel more activity when there's any chance of change. When we're talking about a change of how the museum is run, who's doing it, things that are going on as far as, there was a question about whether or not this would be sold, who was going to take care of it, that kind of thing. Everything seemed to be very active at that point. And I've worked here for 20 years and not felt anything. So that was interesting. From then on, it's been kind of common, but low-key. Nothing horrible, scary, nothing threatening. No demons.
Yeah, so they're good people.
Yeah, exactly.
My dear friend, do you know that feeling when you meet someone and immediately like their kindred spirit? You'll get that feeling a lot from the locals in this small town. Thank you, Mrs. Ann. I will never forget this incredible day. Friend, you'll need more than a day to see beautiful nature, historical sites, museums, and to learn about the people who used to live here and somehow are still with us. Keep traveling, learning, and continuing to be amazed at this strange and mysterious but wonderful life.